Hello, people. Welcome to RockerMike and Rob Present, another one. And this is a great show because we have a special guest. We got Anthony from Hey Bartender that he goes around the United States talking to random bartenders from different states and how do they work and what the hell's happening with their life. But this guy is an expert at talking to bartender. He gets a lot of the cocktails, the recipe, and he's like the bartender whisper to the many people. Anthony, how you doing, brother?
Good, Rob. How's it going?
So far, so good, man.
And welcome to the show, Anthony. Welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, Mike. This is a great opportunity. I don't get to do this very often, so.
No, it's a pleasure. Recently I caught you and Rob having your little podcast together. Hey, Bartender. Yeah, that was a great show. Great show.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Rob, you were really easy to talk to, and that makes the podcast a lot more fun for me. So,
you know what? The best thing, it was easy to talk to you. And you know what? We just sat down and talked shop, and people were like, I can't believe you guys. I think he let me talk too much.
Well, that's kind of part of the reason why I developed this podcast, because back when I was thinking up, if I were to do a podcast, what would I do? I was sitting there thinking, well, there's a bunch of pop culture junkies out there doing them. There's, all these things that I was thinking about. I was like, there's already a bunch of podcasts on that. Then all of a sudden, bartender stories popped into my head. And I was like, well, there are already a bunch of people that talk about drinks, but there's nobody that talks about actual life in the industry. And then I started thinking, well, I can tell all my stories because my stories are unique because they're mine. But then after a while, I just all of a sudden realized it would be a lot of fun to bring guests on the show too, so they can tell their stories. And that's how I got through various channels, how I got a hold of Rob and managed to get you on my show.
Yeah, but it was Boogie that got on the show because Boogie knows a lot of people,
Boogie. Yeah. Shout out to Boogie.
Yeah, he seems to know everybody in New York. It's
everybody knows Boogie.
Yeah, everybody I talk to that's from that area, they're like, gotta give a shout out to Boogie, or I get an email saying, hey, Boogie said I should be on your show, and he's my biggest supporter of the show probably since the beginning. So
yeah, I heard about your show through him and through Rob. I've been watching, listening quite a bit and just enjoying the hell out of it. I got to ask you, what's harder, bartending or podcasts?
Well, podcasting is a little bit more nerve-wracking because I'm meeting somebody new for the first time. I've never talked to him before because I'm a little bit of an introvert, but most of the time I do these shows on the fly and just kind of let it go naturally, like a regular conversation between me and another bartender, like we're sitting at a diner late at night talking about our shift or something like that. And being behind the bar, if all of a sudden I run into a conversation that I'm not, I have no interest in or I know nothing about, it's easy for me to just go, oh, you need something? I'll be right back, and walk away from it.
Can get away from Rob. Let me ask you the same question. What's harder, podcasting or bartending?
Podcasting, because you got to get the show out. And let me tell you, so Anthony, I'm going to tell you a funny story. So the way I met Mike, he was my Verizon guy. He came one day to fix my phone line, and we became friends. And we started talking about rock and roll. He's a great guy with a lot of knowledge in music. And I said, dude, I want to do a rock show. Then I got my other. I don't know if you ever see my other partner with a Mohawk, Freak John. We do a show too. So I do like 6-7 podcasts, and everything's doing good, man. We're hitting some high numbers, and we're trying to do everything. So I wanted to promote your podcast because I think you'll do great. Because we promoted a podcast, Tell from the Dark.
It's a conspiracy show kind of thing. He Tales from the Dark. This guy Bob Hicks, he does a lot of like mysteries and Bigfoot and that kind of stuff. Yeah, very interesting. And we get one of our shows, the Conspiracy 420. We get into all that too, and he kind of found, I don't know, we found him or he found us, I forget.
No,
but
we you know who sent us to him? Jack D. So we got
Jack
this guy
D,
Jack
right?
D that always
Jack
give us
D.
great guests. So I got to give a
Yes.
big shout out to Jack D because he always find unique and strange people to talk to.
Yeah,
And Mike's
he's
the other
he's
one
a
that
great
gets
guy.
strange people to talk to.
Yeah, the hardest thing about doing the podcast is promoting myself. I just haven't gotten the hang of it yet, and doing a lot of promotions that I've seen online is really expensive and money I don't have to put into doing the podcast. So most of my podcast getting out there has been word of mouth, and yeah, once again, thanks to Boogie, but
Yeah,
Definitely.
but I gotta tell you something. You told me that you recently had a problem. You just changed Spotify account. What happened with the Spotify accounts?
I used to be with Podbean, and I was uploading all my shows to there. Everything was doing fine. Then a guest I had about 2 months ago told me about Anchor FM, and
That's what we use. Anchor.
That's what we're on. Yeah, we use that.
and so I spent pretty much the last week from December 5th to last Sunday uploading all 218 episodes of Hey Bartender podcast over to Anchor FM. And I canceled my Podbean account, but I thought that they would wipe out everything that was on Spotify, everything that was on iTunes. No, it's still there.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't think they wipe it out.
And I don't know how to get rid of it.
You probably can't.
Yeah.
Probably can't.
So I got to get it out to all my listeners that listen to me on like Spotify and other formats. I've moved. I haven't stopped.
Yeah, but Anchor helps you a lot. You get like in the Anchor account, you can put the link, they give you an RSS number and all that stuff. Anchor is very good to work with, easy, and they load all your show up on Apple. You gotta do much. You put on Anchor and they load it up to Spotify. Because Anchor and Spotify are the same thing. I hope you know that.
Yeah.
Do you have like a website or like a Facebook page you use for any kind of promoting?
I use all three. Well, the big three as of today. I use Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Hey Bartender Podcast. And
because that's a good way to get the word out that you might have moved.
Yeah. I think I did post something, but I should do something more permanent in this, like stories or instead of doing the ones that last only 24 hours.
What we find, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but what we find is, and Rob is very good at this, at just hashtagging everything right and getting the word out to the right people. I mean, we've done some rock shows that, I mean, have hit like 13,000 views and stuff like that. And a lot of that is really because Rob knows how to get it out there. I get it out there too, but Rob is very good at that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm very good at hashtagging. So,
I mean, when you look
hashtag.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of hashtagging is like this long,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also got to know how to hit at this guy, at that one, at this one, at that one. That also gets a lot of hit. Because, I got to tell you, funny. So Christina was wearing the Hey Bartender shirt yesterday at Doc Holiday.
I gotta
get one.
So cool.
I got to get one.
She was fantastic. She was wearing it. I said, hey, I know that shirt. So she was wearing it. And that's the other thing. Like me, I'm known as the T-shirt guy in the East Village. I got a bunch of random crazy T-shirts. And it say some offensive thing. It say something. But I wear them and I just do not give two fucks about it. I was wearing my T-shirt that say vaccinated and ready to fuck. And guys are like, hey.
And the Mexican lives matter with the bullet holes through it.
With the bullet holes.
Well,
that was the whole thing.
I tell you, Rob, since you were a guest on my show, I actually had to order your size of T-shirt. So you're going to be getting one of my T-shirts soon, Mike. I'd be honored to send you one of my T-shirts.
I'll wear it proudly. I'd love that. Thank you.
What size are you? I'll show you my T-shirt real quick. You're gonna laugh.
So my T-shirt size is large, extra large, somewhere around there.
I'm like an extra large.
Okay.
This is the T-shirt that you'll get. It's with my face on it.
I actually have that one too in black.
So let me send your size. Tell me your size and tell me what size you want, and I'll send this beautiful thing to you.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's what I have. So let me ask you another question, because you're the first person. You had like a little controversy with something you say. You were telling me what happened with that.
Yeah, I did a show. I had a sponsor. I'm not going to say who they are, just so to avoid any trouble.
Yeah.
They were doing. They wanted people to help them promote contests that they were doing, and it was supposed to be a contract for like 2 or 3 months, and I was excited about it. I was getting paid $100 an episode, and maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I was getting paid to do it. And all of a sudden I did a podcast on how, in my mind, the podcast was about, I never took advantage of women when, I never took advantage of them when they were drunk. I never did anything inappropriate. And somehow one of the people that was involved with that sponsor took offense to it. The ad agency that called me, they said, the people at the company, they were slightly offended by that episode, and they're thinking that they don't want to work with you anymore. And
wow.
And I was like, I'm sorry, what was offensive? And I'd be happy to fix it. And the ad agency lady was actually, she was helpful to me. She told me, I get where you were coming from. You were saying you were no Casanova. You were, you didn't take advantage of women, but that's not how they took it. And I went, well, damn.
Yeah. These days, man, it's amazing. That stuff can blindside you sometimes.
Yeah,
it's true.
And it actually gave me like anxiety for the next like 6 or 8 episodes, because I was trying to use pronouns that were that weren't specific on who I was talking about or what I was talking about. It was always them, they. And I'd never used anything specific like he or she, just so people could sit back and guess. Right. Well, that was probably a guy that did that. That was probably a girl that did that. And it gave me anxiety for quite a while after that.
Anthony, have you ever sat with one of those people that they this and that? How can it be they when you're one person?
Exactly.
I haven't, as far as I know, I haven't offended anybody, but I could easily do that. Okay, because it's just like I don't even think like that.
Yeah.
Mike, I look at you and I'm offended.
All right, as long as my wife doesn't say that.
I saw a TikTok video where a guy sees his son kiss a girl goodbye after school, and he goes, "Hey, who was that? Their name is Jennifer. There were 2 girls out there? No, her name was Jennifer." And there was a long argument. Don't want to get into it, but
you need like a college course to like figure out this shit.
Sometime, yeah. That's what I worry about.
I gotta tell you guys something funny. So somebody came in and they called me Day. So I just took a piece of paper, Day, whatever the hell it was, and I took a piece of paper and I pinned it on my shirt, and I say, "Asshole." You a Day? I'm an asshole. And this person just looked at me. What do you mean by that? You a Day? I'm an asshole. So confused by it. He just looked at me like, can I still get a drink? Yes, Dave, you may get a drink.
Wow.
It was like, have you ever talked to these people? These people are special people, dude. This is like weird shit, man. It's like, dude, it's getting weird. It's getting more and more weird. Like, I was talking to John today about certain thing, and I said, it's like they have this conversation with themselves, and you can't do nothing about it. You just gotta let it be. Like, you can't even argue. Just let it be.
Yeah, there's
it's
nothing.
Amazing. Nothing.
Well, eventually we're just not going to be able to talk to each other. Guys are going to have to, like, if you want to ask a girl out, there'll be like a form or something that you have to fill out.
Sign language.
Sign language. Texting, or I don't know, something. But it's like, I look, the first time I remember this kind of thing happening to me in my life was years ago. I was in CBGB's, okay, wow. and I didn't know I knew a couple of the bartenders there, but this one I didn't know. And I was a little drunk, maybe 4 beers in, something like that, 5 beers in. And girl gave me another one, and I said, thank you, sweetheart. Now, this was like probably about maybe 1999, something like that. Well, 20 years ago, easily. Okay. And she took I went to grab the beer. She took it back. And she goes, I'm not your sweetheart.
Yeah.
Right. And I went, well, you're not my bartender, so keep the beer.
Wow.
Thank you. And I didn't drink any more that night in there. But it was like, it just rolled off my tongue. I didn't mean anything. I wasn't hitting on her. It wasn't even in my mind. And then over the years, you just see more. Now you can't talk like that.
Yeah.
Very few. There's a few girl bartenders that I can talk that way to because they talk that way to me.
Right.
Okay. But if I don't know, if I don't know, I don't do that because like shit, man. Today, man, you could be ruined.
Yeah. You got the female bartenders nowadays that still say sweetie or honey.
Yeah. Some do. Some do.
But that's slowly going away. Things that we used to consider terms of endearment.
Right.
Like 20 years ago are insanely offensive now. And it's, some of it's understandable, but some of it's just like, I'm sorry. Do we have to make a big deal about it? I promise I'll never say it again. Yeah.
I didn't mean to offend you, just, can we have a do-over?
Exactly. Dude, let me tell you guys, I'm surprised I haven't been canceled. Have you ever heard me talk?
Me too. I've been thrown off of Facebook about 100 times. Okay. And had to get new accounts and all kinds of shit. But,
I never been thrown off Facebook.
Because you don't talk about anything, man.
I just put my podcast.
Yeah, on the podcast we talk about. But I'm up there. You just friended me today. So, Anthony, you'll see the shit that I can get in trouble for.
I haven't been banned off social media yet. I've had one video deleted on TikTok because it violated community guidelines, and all I was doing was playing a Beatles song on guitar, but Beatles songs, getting the rights to that's expensive. But I thought it's the internet; it goes out into the ether, but they still deleted that video because of it.
We've had music on the show that's been deleted.
Yeah.
Little snippets of things that they just it just shows up as no sound when it gets out there.
Yeah, that happened to me. I'm a big fan of the movie V for Vendetta.
Oh, dude, I love that too. I just watched it about a month ago.
God.
Yeah,
I watched it on the 5th of November.
Exactly.
Yep.
Remember the 5th
of November. Yep.
Out of treason and plots.
Yeah.
Every year I watch it on November 5th. I just love that movie, and I decided to put on my TikTok account the clip of where V and Evie are standing on top of the building, and then you hear Tchaikovsky's cannon start to play,
and then the Bailey statue blows up and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
I went back and I looked at it a couple days later, and I saw that they deleted all the music, and I quickly wrote a letter to TikTok saying Tchaikovsky's cannon is public domain.
It's got to be. I was just gonna say it's got to be public domain by now.
Yeah,
it's 1,000 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's public domain now. Why did you delete it? And I haven't heard anything from them about it. So I was just like, let it go. The good dialogue's still there. But
I used to. I had a 1980 Camaro. Okay, I just sold it this year, but I had it for a while, and I used to drive around doing little videos in the car. And I was like I'm a big Ramones fan. And I was playing the Ramones in the car one time driving through Brooklyn on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, something like that. And I went to load it up and it had the music. And then I checked back a couple hours later and it was gone. Right. Yeah. But and it said something about licensing or something like that. It said there was some kind of comment and I forgot about it. And then it had to be like 2 years later, I get this notification saying they put it back up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, 2 years later, okay, and I was watching it with the music,
I'm going to go ahead and make an admission right now. I do like the Ramones. I like them a lot, but
Good.
I'm one of those schmucks that only figured out maybe about 5-6 years ago that the song is actually called Blitzkrieg Bop. It's not called Hey Ho, Let's Go.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. For so many years, like, the only song people would know would be I Want to Be Sedated.
Yeah.
But I go back a long way with the Ramones and everything. They're like my favorite band. It's funny now, like in the East Village, I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. And I know you mentioned coming to New York a couple of times, right? So you're familiar?
No, I've only been to New York once, and that was to Rochester.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Yeah. Okay. But, you guys were talking on the podcast you did together about how New York's changed so much, and, it's changed in a million ways. But one way is that you see Ramon shirts everywhere now.
Oh,
okay. Where back in my day, which was, the 80s. Okay. The band had already been around for 10 years, but never made it big. But if you had a Ramon shirt on in my day, you go up to that person, hey, what's up, brother? What's up, sister? That was like your friend for the day. You know how many girls I met like that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. And just, girls in town for the day, and I'd end up hanging out with them because we were Ramones fans.
Yeah.
But now it's like it's everywhere, and you're lucky if somebody knows a song.
And and they're lucky if
it's just a shirt.
Yeah, and the Ramones would be lucky if they still got any radio airplay today.
They get. It's funny. It's interesting. Classic rock radio. Well, they only back in the day, they only would play "I Want to Be Sedated." This is during when the Ramones were around. Yeah. They would play "I Want to Be Sedated" or maybe "Rockaway Beach." But now you hear like Blitzkrieg Bop more. Okay, and you might hear like Sheena's a Punk Rocker once in a while, but it's still the same, like 4 or 5 songs. I mean, they got a million songs, but it's just people don't play them on the radio. Fuck them.
Anthony, you want to hear something interesting? So me and Mike just got a video delayed saying that we were bullying and this is that. One a conspiracy show, and I fought it and I won. Because I'm very good at fighting this thing. I just send them and I tell them I was just bullying. Whether you see that, and then they take a second look and they put the video back up, but they try to suspend my account multiple times, and I have won the case every time. I done it so far like 16 times.
He always appeals it and he always wins. Because if you have a lot of this stuff, if you just have any common sense and you watch the content and in the context that you're speaking, 99% of the time you're not doing what the person is accusing you of. It's just not happening like that. It's when they don't give you a chance to appeal. Okay.
Right.
I've been, like I said, I've been tossed off Facebook many times, and only recently have I ever had chances to appeal. For a long time, they just were like, no, 30 days, boom, with nothing. Now I've beaten a few appeals because now everybody's onto them. It's a story now. Yeah. All the censorship on social media and everything.
Yeah, they're really getting deep into that nowadays on all the social media groups, censoring inappropriate material or whatever.
Well, Facebook just admitted the other day that Zuckerberg admitted it that they're fact checkers. It's just opinion.
Yeah, really.
That's what it is. It's opinion.
You saw that, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just opinion. Well, okay. Well, how many people did you suspend their accounts and kick them off or whatever or part of the whole cancel culture thing? It's not just like, okay, I don't care. You could suspend me for 10 days. I can live without social media. But there's there's people that certain, I won't get into the whole politics of it, but certain people will go after them. Okay, based on their beliefs or whatever, and they just keep hitting them, and then these people are gone. Sometimes they lose their jobs over things they post.
Yeah, I've received back in the early days of the podcast, I've received emails from people that say that I should take my show down. It's a bad influence, and encourages people to drink. And I'm like, you've never listened to my show, have you? Because I don't encourage people to drink. I talk about the servers that give you the drink. And I don't
talk about the industry. You're telling stories. You're not saying everybody should go drink on Friday night.
Right. I'm talking about the people that work there, not drinking and getting drunk. And I mean, I've touched a little bit on like after hours or something like that, but it's, I sat back and I wondered about it. How come I don't talk about that? Because I really don't drink. I maybe a couple beers a year tops.
Really?
But
Rob, you'll like that.
Yeah, I drink every 2 hours.
Like a baby getting a feeding.
But
it's like right now, look at this beautiful bottle of rum.
151 Bacardi.
Let me take a little shot of rum just to celebrate. To celebrate, because why not? We're getting warmed up, baby.
Hang on a second.
Salute.
So Anthony, I gotta tell you something.
Yeah.
What is one of the strangest guests you ever had on your show that you listen to them? You're like, what the fuck?
What is that?
It's a giant bottle of vodka.
Oh,
Mike drinks a lot of vodka.
Strangest guest I've ever had on the show. I don't think I've had anybody that have really made me go, what the hell? I mean, it's just never happened because I'm interested in everybody's stories, but the bartender that works over at the Double Down in New York City,
Bobby Jean.
Yes.
Bobby Jean, yeah.
She started dropping things that happen at her bar, and I'm like, what kind of bar is this?
Oh, Double Downs can be fun, man.
You know what's funny? I had the owner of Double Down come visit me on Monday because he was a good friend with Molly. So my owner just passed away. So
my condolences.
He was there. They got fucked up, and Sunday was such a weird day. You know that I made over 45 Bloody Marys that day.
Really?
including 1 or 2 for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I opened the bar with him that morning and 10 o'clock at International usual time. And that crowd came in early. They came in like by 10:30 and all of them wanted Bloody Marys.
I make a very good Bloody Mary. Like
yes, he does.
And I make it to like I just make it's a Molly Bloody Mary. So I put celery salt, a lot of celery salt on it, right? I put Worcestershire, whatever the fuck they want to call that salt. I put fresh horseradish. Then I put lime juice in it. Then I just freaking put regular tomato juice and vodka, and then I don't shake it. You mix.
You just swish it.
You pour it from one side to another.
You swish it back and forth. You don't give it a hard shake
because you don't want to bruise the vodka. Again, right. You don't want to bruise it. So I make this drink, and I have people come, and I think some people have 3, 4. Like George had like 5.
George is amazing. I couldn't drink 5 Bloody Marys, but I mean, I
shoot my pants with that.
Right, exactly. I got my limit's about 2, and then I move over to my regular vodka sodas. But
now, a common question I ask the bartenders about their Bloody Marys: do you make your Bloody Marys that have good flavor, or do you make your Bloody Marys to clear your sinuses?
Can I answer that for a second? Let me just say, there's some places that'll be to clear your sinuses. Okay, but Rob does it in a way that it just borderlines that. Okay, yeah. It's just spicy enough to kind of go there, but it's refreshing and filling, and it tastes good, and it's not a, some people, you go into a bar, you ask for a Bloody Mary. They don't even have an idea. They might use the mix like that's been laying around for 2 days, or they just, forget to put horseradish in. How do you forget to put horseradish in? And things like that. But International Bar between you, Rob, and Claire, fantastic Bloody Marys.
I also use Tabasco sauce, just a few dash. You don't want to overkill the person, and it's just a simple recipe. But and we also make. The owner did not believe in having a Bloody Mary mix. Just so we make them fresh. So we make them from start to finish.
Didn't Molly have a rule that she'd fire you if you use the mix or something?
Oh yeah, she'll fire you.
She'd be on your ass. It had to be a fresh one every time.
It had to be a fresh one. It's like me. I make margaritas. Like in the summer, all I make was margaritas to go. I make a mean margarita. And people are like, oh, and they have like a few of them. It's like, what the fuck?
Now, is this the margarita where it's a Corona and a tequila?
I knew you were going to say that.
That was the original. That was the original margarita.
I knew you were going to say that, Anthony.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Let me tell you, a lot of people, since I did your show, a lot of people talk about you. Like they started following you. Like they really like what you're doing. Because I have people that didn't even know that this is the podcast. Oh, I heard you. Hey, Bartender, that was a great interview. He just let you talk. And I said, yeah, I'm kind of a maniac.
Well, after a while of doing the podcast, I did a whole mess of shows where it was just me. But then when I finally I think my first guest ever on the show, she contacted me. Her name was Mia Torres, and she's a food and wine editor.
Oh, nice.
And she does. I'm not sure. She said she's in a recent Twitter post. She's between jobs right now, but she does a lot of like celebrity appearances locally. And she called me up and asked me, "Hey, can I be on your show?" And I was like, "Absolutely, come on, yeah, I'd love to have an interview." And you can tell the difference between my interview with her up to the interview with Rob here, because I was extremely uncomfortable. And I didn't really know what I was doing with an interview with her, and I've gotten better over the last few years, and I'm pretty proud of that. But she contacted me first, and that was just like the opening is just like I gotta have more guests on the show, and people have heard enough from me. Now let's hear from other people, and I try to direct the conversation a little bit, but it's basically whoever my guest, it's their floor. I'm Conan O'Brien.
That's the best. Yeah, that's the best way. I'm not a pro, okay, and I didn't go to school to interview people or anything like that. But one thing I learned just from doing this show is let people talk. And I think my first couple of shows where we were interviewing people, I think I talked a little bit too much, but I learned to not do that. And it's always like the floor is yours, okay? And you never know what'll happen, because remember we did that episode with Lala Brooks, Rob?
Yeah.
Okay, Lala Brooks was the singer to the Crystals.
Oh, okay.
The 1960s girl band.
Yeah.
Girl group. And real quick story is I went to fix her phone line. That's how I found her. And her name was something else, but then someone told me it was her in the building, or neighbors said it was her. And I knew the name, and I went like, wait a minute. So I did what I had to do, and then I told her I got this podcast, and she said she wanted to come on. And what happened was, I was a little nervous because I knew who she was, liked the music, and we just let her talk. I just let her talk, and she started going off on Bruce Springsteen, Little Steven Van Zandt, Darlene Love. She was shitting all over them, right? Yeah. And I was like, and she's like, "Can I say this?" And I'm like, "Keep going, say whatever you got to say." It was great because I'm not a big fan of Springsteen, so hearing that, I was like, "Oh, this is great," But the idea is when you interview somebody, you want to let them speak. And you take it to that point where there's going to be that little bit of silence. So, that's all you got to do. Yeah.
There have been times where I've interviewed some people that the first half hour of the show, I can tell that they're uncomfortable, and, their answers to everything are short.
Yeah. Yes.
But usually at the half hour point, after I'm trying to drag answers out of them, at the half hour point, all of a sudden, they won't stop. And I'm like, okay, I've done my job. Now let's just let him go.
You got to pull teeth a little bit sometimes. You know
what interview I felt like that when we interview Glenn Matlock of the Sex Pistol.
Glenn Matlock? Yeah.
He put his Jaguar. I'm driving my Jaguar. I'm going to pull on the highway and talk to you guys. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Is this really happening?
That was because he was like, he was supposed to, start the show at a certain time with us, and he was in England, and he was a couple minutes late. Next thing I know, I get an email saying, I am stuck in the biggest traffic jam you ever saw. If you want, I'll pull over. And I was like, do it. So, he came in and he's like, let me pull over. And he did the whole interview from his fucking car.
That's another fun thing about doing this podcast is because I've been able to meet bartenders. I don't just interview bartenders from the United States. I've had a bartender from Canada. I've had a bartender from Ecuador, England, and Ukraine. And the guy from the Ukraine, he wanted to come on the show. He worked at KFC. He wasn't a bartender, but I was like, we got to represent the fast food.
Okay,
also, it's not just about bartending and stuff.
KFC.
But he wanted to promote his band, and I'm like, come on the show, let's do it. And the guy from England, it was hilarious because his girlfriend actually sent me an email saying that he's a big fan of the show. And she was wondering if I could do a birthday shout out to him. And I said, birthday shout out. Does he want to be on the show? And she's, oh my God, that would be so great. And so I got him. I did the birthday shout out on his birthday, but then a week or two later, I actually brought him on the show. And,
that's cool.
And, some people I have to beg, plead, please come on my show. But some other people, it's a lot of fun where they're like, I listened to your show. I'd love to be on it. And that makes me feel really good.
Do you ever look at your your charts and the way you're sitting on the charts and or different countries that listen to the podcast and you go like, who the hell was listening to us in Iran?
I do that a lot. I was just
it's great.
I was looking at my analytics on Anchor this morning, and I thought to myself, who the hell is listening to me in Romania?
Yeah.
And or I see that I've got a couple thousand listeners in with the analytics I got from the other site. I see I've got a couple thousand listeners from China or even countries in Africa. And I jokingly say to myself, if they're trying to learn English from me, they're going to be messed up.
That's pretty good, man.
I mean, we've looked at the charts a few times, and we were like top 40 for a month in Australia and New Zealand, and I'm like, was it even high? Was it top 20? I forget, Rob, but
we were in the top 50.
Top 50, something like that. And I'm like, wow, I mean, there's a lot of people down there, and they're listening, but it's like you just don't think that it can happen. Well, it does.
Well, we were in England. Like I sent you the chart. We were in England. So in the United States, we were we were in the 144.
The last time, yeah.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. I think we've come a little closer too. I think we've come to around 120, something like that.
Yeah.
My best accolade for 2021, I was listed number 2 of bartender podcasts to listen to by a website blog, and I was just, I'll take it.
Sure. Yeah, it's all about exposure. If you think about all the podcasts that are out there, if you're charting in the top 200, that's like amazing.
Yeah, I'm nowhere on that in the Spotify or Apple analytics or anything like that. Yeah. But I'm being recognized somewhere. I had to search the depths of the internet a little bit for it, but I'm being recognized by somebody out there, so that felt really good.
Well, we've been pretty good at, not to toot our own horn, but I'm going to do it anyway. We've been pretty good at promoting people. There's been a few shows that are on YouTube and different podcasts that have come on and they've jump started their shows based on what we've given them in views. So I hope that if we can get a little bit now and hope we'll get the exposure for you, because your show is great.
I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
The show is fantastic, man. You do such a great. You're so easy to talk to. I was going to bring something up about the business, and I was talking to you about the time, and I started. I don't know if we finished the story, but some guy walked into the bar with a gun, and I took the gun apart, put it.
You didn't finish telling that story on the show. Yeah, you got to tell it.
I didn't get a chance to get you to finish that story. Sorry about that.
So I was working at Cheap Shots one day, and I was with this guy Chris Lynch. Chris Lynch was like 6'8", a monster, and some guy walks in with a gun and say, "I'm holding your place up," and I just grabbed the gun out of the hand, put it apart, and put it on the bar. And the guy looked at me like he was defeated. I'm like, okay. And Chris Lynch peed in his fucking pants. He
actually peed his
pants. I turn around, I tell the guy, "Thank you, have a nice day." Give him the gun back over for him. And I go to Chris. If anybody should have pissed in the pants, it should have been me. He was pointing at me.
Didn't you tell the guy that the gun's loaded, get the fuck out of here or something like that? The gun's not loaded, get the
fuck out.
Yeah.
But it was just a reaction. It wasn't even like I would like boom, 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 boom.
That was a split-second thing that could have gone very wrong.
And the guy just looked at me, and the guy looked at me like, "Oh my god!"
He wasn't expecting that. That's why.
But it's like, you know what? A lot of time, bartenders just react to situation.
Yeah,
you react. You don't know because it's a bar. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what. Once you're giving people alcohol, you never know how they're going to react. Anything can happen.
Remember that time, and you were working. It was like in the afternoon. And I was in there, and the bar was pretty crowded. Yeah. And that one guy that always comes in, I forget his name. I think his name might be Anthony. I forget, but he was giving you shit, and it was getting heavy. And I was like at the other end of the bar, ready to jump over the bar, and everyone was just like on edge. It was like, is this guy gonna? He was just giving you shit, and you were giving it back, and it was like, is this gonna turn into a fight? Because everybody would have jumped on the guy, but forget it. I mean, these things happen, but that's all part of the business, I guess, right?
I finally just told him, "Get the fuck out before you wind up in a body."
You did it. You did 86 him. He's a guy. He's a problem. That guy. He's been in a lot of different bars, and I think he's been thrown out. But I remember you threw him out.
Yeah, I encourage everybody. Ever since I started becoming a bartender, I was taught. And then I pass on that knowledge to everybody that I've trained as a bartender or even on the podcast. Somebody comes up to you, sticks a gun in your face and says, "Give me your dough." Sometimes you just react. It just happens. And Rob was lucky. But if somebody comes up to you and points a gun at you, you just say, "Would you like a bag for that?" Just because you want to get that guy out of the bar as soon as possible. And you don't want to put any of your customers in danger.
Of course not.
I actually worked at a bar one time where we had a bomb threat, and when the bomb squad got there, when they called the bar, they said, "There's a bomb out in your garbage corral. Leave all your lottery money outside the door, and then everybody can leave." And we got the very few customers we had that morning out of the bar. We didn't leave the lottery money out, and my cook stupidly went out to go see what the bomb looked like, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a bomb." And so once we were across the street, the bomb squad showed up. They roped off a whole bunch of the city block, and it turned out just to be a paper towel tube with a timer on it. That and
just to scare you.
A couple wires just for effect, but
right. I made it look like that.
And so it was nothing, but that was a little bit of a scare. But there might have been a couple seconds where I thought about going all Mission Impossible on it, and jump back there with a pair of cutters and
pliers. Is it the red or the green?
Yeah.
Anthony, let me ask you a question. So you're interviewing a bartender. Is there any bartender that you really want to interview, or ex-bartender, or people that became stars that were bartenders? Is there anybody that would be like your ultimate interview?
Oh, absolutely. There's tons. Any bartender, anybody that served time in the service industry that made their way to what their life's goal or passion, and use bartending to get to that passion, I definitely want to talk to them. But hearing stories about like A-list celebrities, like Bruce Willis, he was a bartender at one time.
Yeah.
John Krasinski, the day before, the day that he tried out for The Office, he was a waiter at a restaurant across the street.
Wow.
Jennifer Aniston was a waitress before she got to be an actress. Any celebrity really out there. I don't have anybody really specific, but I would love
Amy
to get
Schumer. Amy Schumer was a bartender.
I heard about that. I heard Ellen DeGeneres was a bartender at one time, even though not many people like her right now. But you want
to really freak everybody out and put yourself at risk? Why don't you ask AOC to come on your show? She was a bartender.
Oh,
No, you know who was actually a bartender? Well, a former president like Abe Lincoln was a bartender.
Abe Lincoln, yeah.
He's tougher to interview though. He's hard to get hold of.
They say he's embalmed. They say he's embalmed very well, so maybe you could pull it off.
No, but imagine that a guy that was president of the United States that self-taught was a bartender for a few years back then. Imagine bartending those type of. It's as difficult as bartending now with the lunatics you get.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of musicians out there that I would love to talk to that were bartenders. Billy Joel, I've been a fan of his forever. He's one of my idols when it comes to music. It's the Beatles, then Billy Joel. I would love to sit and just talk about the couple months that he spent at the piano bar as Billy Martin, just killing time waiting out that record, killing time just waiting out the record deal that he had so he could start new. I would love to sit and even though he's probably so sick about talking about the Piano Man story, but just to sit and talk to him about playing in a piano bar. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. What do you think of the new Beatles documentary on Disney Plus? Did you watch that?
Yeah,
like a little show on it. What do you think of it? Because we did a review show on it.
We did a review on it.
I did one too. It was the episode before Rob's interview. And
what do you think about it?
I loved it. I saw the original 1970 version of that movie, and
Mike saw it too.
Yeah. And that original version was so depressing just to watch those guys not get along, yelling at each other, but spreading out to 6 hours and getting to see more of the footage and watching the Beatles actually sit there and be creative. It was something that I've wanted to see forever, because really you don't get to see them in the studio or, hey, John, I've got this idea. What do you got, Paul? And
what was amazing is, McCartney would be sitting there at the piano and just, pull Let It Be out of his ass. Yeah. Right. Like how does like out of the air, man, like how do you, and what I liked also is, compared to the Let It Be movie that you just mentioned, because the Let It Be movie really just, it shows the downer side of that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We all know they were fighting, not getting along. George walked out, all that stuff. Yeah. But this showed the other side of it. And it showed how the band kind of understood that they were having certain problems. Like they said, Yoko's there all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were like, well, they just want to be together, and all that. And it's just kind of like, see, they didn't all just hate on each other. I think it was more complicated than that.
Yeah. Paul actually had that look like, if we tell John Yoko can't be here, John will leave.
Yes. And you're not going to do that. No, you didn't want that to happen. And Peter Jackson did a great job. Even if you're not a Beatles fan, just to look at the footage and the way he remastered everything,
it's fantastic.
And, it looked like it was filmed yesterday.
Yeah,
it was like, and it just shows how even with a band like the Beatles, there was a creative process that, and I guess every band is a little different how they do things, but they still had to, rehearse the song 25 times to get it right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Change the words around, add stuff, delete stuff. And, it really was just a fascinating process to watch. A little tedious because it was like 8 hours long.
But they kept doing the same song for a while.
Over and over. But it was still very cool to watch. And just to see, John and George alive again,
Yeah. It was kind of funny to me because I'm sitting there, I'm watching them in their creative process. They're trying to figure out what instruments do we want to use? How do we want the lyric go? And I'm sitting there going, they're playing the song. How come they don't know the lyrics? They haven't written it yet.
They haven't written it yet. Yeah. I mean, we take it for granted, these songs, but it actually, it had to be written up at some point.
It had to be written up.
And I just have to give Ringo like the Academy Award for patience.
Oh God, yeah.
He was just there.
I guarantee you he was stoned and he was drinking during the whole thing, which was probably about the only way he could handle it, because he just, and he did a great job, but he really didn't say much. He didn't say a whole lot.
I loved
Ringo
it though.
was just there. Ringo was there for the ride, man. Ringo was like, "Fuck this! I'm a Beatle. I got a beautiful wife. I'm just gonna get drunk and play the drums."
The thing I loved about it though is that they were writing. Not only were they writing songs for "Let It Be," the show that they were planning on doing, but they also had a bunch of songs that ended up on Abbey Road later.
And how about the Harrison stuff that ended up on all
the Harrison stuff? Yeah, All Things Must Pass, and and I'm sitting there going, they wrote maybe 20, 30 songs in only 3 weeks.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane.
What also is insane, and you don't see it in the movie, but if you know the history, is that whole process just collapsed, and they went and did Abbey Road.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they went back to it, a year later, because Let It Be came out after Abbey Road, okay, but was written before.
Right.
So they did their thing. They played on the roof and all that. Then it fell apart. They didn't want to put it out. And then John Lennon goes to Phil Spector and says, "Do something with this."
Yeah.
And that is the Let It Be that we all know.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's just amazing to think all that, and then they still couldn't put it out right away. They had to scrap it for a while, work on something else. They had some of those songs, and then go back to it.
Yeah. I in other Beatle documentaries that I've watched in the past, everybody has the misconception that Let It Be is the last time the Beatles recorded together, but it's only the last time the Beatles performed live together.
Yes.
And they still did Abbey Road, but Let It Be was released after Abbey Road.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing about after they were done with the Let It Be sessions, they threw their hands up. We're done with this. They all left and went their separate ways at first. But then Paul McCartney calls up George Martin and says, "We want to get together. We want to do one more album." And George Martin says, "Okay, we're all getting together." And Paul McCartney says, "Yes." And he's even George. And Paul McCartney says, "Yes." And so, okay, get over to the studio. Let's do this. And, they came up with the amazing Abbey Road album.
Yeah.
It's
And
a fantastic album.
Yeah.
The Let It Be album, Paul McCartney's still a little bit annoyed with what Phil Spector did to it, but it's still a good album.
I'm a big Spector fan, so I like it the way it is. I do have the Let It Be Naked CD as well, which is good, very good. John Lennon was on record saying, he did it. I think the line was something like, it was a pile of shit and he made something of it. I'm paraphrasing, but it was, because McCartney was pissed because he added all the, like on Long and Winding Road, he added all the choruses and all the production to it, and it was supposed to be a simple piano ballad.
Yeah.
Okay, but it didn't end up like that. But I think I'm a big Phil Spector fan, so I like what he did with it.
Yeah, him creating the wall of sound revolutionized the way music was being played.
Absolutely. We did a podcast on Phil right after he died. And we've talked about bands that, we did a show on All Things Must Pass.
Yeah, the wall,
and some of the girl groups and stuff like that he was involved with. It's hard to, in today's day and age, it's hard to kind of get it. But I mean, everything back then was analog. Yeah. And, the stuff that he did working with 10 drummers, 5 guitar players, 6 bass players in one song, just to create that wall of sound.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Really innovative.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I studied audio production for a little while, and Phil Spector, we talked about him a lot.
Yeah.
And him and George Martin in particular.
Right.
And, bringing when it came to talking about the wall of sound, it revolutionized the way things were recorded from there on out.
Right.
And that they really haven't gotten away from that. And I think it's probably might be a good idea that they didn't. But
who didn't get away from it? What do you mean?
Well, they keep doing the wall of sound with everything that's being recorded right now. Got 2 guitars on either side. You got your drum right in the middle. But back in the every once in a while in the last 30 years, somebody gets this wild hair where they think we want to do it like the Small Faces did. Otgun's Not Gonna Flake.
Great.
Or like Please Please Me, where they had the backing tracks over here and the lead and made vocals over here. Every once in a while you run into that. But pretty much Phil Spector's wall of sound has become the standard.
Yes.
Pretty much ever since.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Anthony, let me ask Anthony a real question, conspiracy question.
Okay.
Is that Paul McCartney or is that the fake? Is that Billy Bax? Or it's a Paul McCartney? You ever heard about Paul McCartney?
Paul is dead.
Yeah,
Paul is dead, and that's a replacement named Billy that took over.
Billy Shears.
Have you ever heard that whole conspiracy theory?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know a lot of the Beatle conspiracy theories. Yeah, the whole conspiracy theory of Billy Shears. He blew his mind out in a car. That was Paul McCartney.
And they replaced him.
Nobody knows. Or what? How did the lyric goes? Blew his mind out in a car. Didn't notice lights.
Didn't know that the lights had changed or something like that.
The people stood and stared. They'd seen his face before. Nobody was really sure if he was from the House of Lords. Yeah, that was supposed to be a hint that Paul was dead.
Right.
Revolution number 9.
The record album with them and Paul Had No Shoes.
Yeah,
Abbey Road. Yeah,
I've seen actual outtakes or picture photos they didn't use for that album cover. There were actually versions where he was wearing sandals in that, but he just all of a sudden decided to take those flip-flops off. Okay, it is a conspiracy theory. Who knows if it's right or what? But what was it? Chris Farley on Saturday Night Live asked him, he's like, "You remember when everybody thought you were dead?" And Paul's like, "Yeah, I kind of remember that." And he goes, "Is it true?" No, it isn't.
So, and Mike, we gotta have. If we ever do another Beatles album, we gotta have Anthony as a guest. He's like a huge Beatles fan.
Yeah. Well,
one of the
you know what we got? You know what we got coming up after I think we're all scheduled out through March. I think in March, one of the fan favorites that we did, the people voted for, was the making of the White Album. That was Knowledge that wanted me to do that.
Hey, would you like to come for the White Album?
You want to come back and talk about the White Album?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
We'll probably do the show maybe in February, and it'll be up in March, something like that.
Yeah,
We're going to nerd out. We're going to nerd out. You can nerd out.
I used to warn all my bar customers all the time. They ask me. Everybody knows that I'm a big fan of the Beatles. I mean, I'm wearing Abbey Road T-shirt right now.
Yeah,
you go.
Shirt.
But everybody knows I'm a big fan of the Beatles. But somebody gets this wild idea and says, "Hey, Anthony, I want to ask you a question about the Beatles." And I say, "Okay, before you ask me, just be aware. If you ask me a question about the Beatles, you may be about to get about a half-hour long lecture or longer. and
That's fine. And what's your favorite Beatles album? Do you have one?
Since it was the album I grew up with, because my dad would play it on the weekends while we were cleaning the house, or just hanging around or something like that. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band has always been, just because of the nostalgia and the music, great.
That's my favorite album. I love that album.
I could listen to that album beginning to end, anytime, any place. My favorite Beatles song, though, was from Rubber Soul, called "In My Life."
Oh well, yeah, it's a amazing song. Yeah. Oh yeah. My favorite Beatles album is Revolver.
Yeah. Great album.
Revolver. Great album. My favorite song is "I Am the Walrus."
That came from Magical Mystery Tour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song. "I Am the Walrus." It's like yeah. But you know who helped him write that song? The guy from the Animals, not the Animals, or the guy from
no. What it is he didn't help him write it. The Walrus is Eric Burden.
Yes.
Oh, no kidding.
Well, wait. Let me back up. The Eggman is Eric Burden.
Eggman.
When he says "I am the Eggman," there's. You want to hear the story behind that?
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
this
I honestly don't know.
Eric Burden from the Animals and John Lennon were good friends.
Yeah.
Okay. And Eric Burden had if you remember the song "When I Was Young," okay, where he says, for girls I had a bad yen, right? And he says how she was brown. So Eric likes the darker persuasion, okay?
Sure.
And I do too. My wife is black too. Anyway, he was with some Jamaican girl, Eric, okay? And they had a whole night together, and she got up in the morning and made him, like, he wasn't expecting anything, and she made him like eggs for breakfast. And John was like crazy about this story, because he says he cracked after they ate. They took the eggs and he put them on the girl, and things got a little kinky, right? So Eric became the Eggman to John, and so he put that.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That was another thing about the Let It Be documentary, is they showed footage of them playing cover songs. You wouldn't expect the Beatles to be playing cover songs, and not just stuff that, goes back to the 50s, their old skiffle band days.
Skiffle stuff, yeah.
But they also played House of the Rising Sun, and that when I heard them play that, I was like, "Oh my God!"
Wow.
Well, some of the older songs that they were doing were ones that they did back in the Hamburg days, and there was at that point in their career, they wanted to go back to their roots. I think they were tired of the kind of progressive psychedelic thing that they were doing, and they wanted to make like a rock and roll record. Now, I don't know if they really succeeded in that. I guess maybe with Abbey Road. What do you think? Or you feel Let It Be?
Let It Be, and after watching that documentary, Let It Be and Abbey Road kind of meshed together to me, because I'm sitting there watching them try to write Get Back, but then all of a sudden they get the inspiration for Maxwell Silverhammer, and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
But a lot of things changed for them after Brian Epstein died, and they mentioned that in the documentary. They all of a sudden became to me like four brothers that just lost their father. Now all of a sudden they have no direction. They don't know what to do. And Brian Epstein was always the one that said, "Get back to the studio and play," or "dress like this," or "This is what we're doing this week." And all of a sudden they were going all separate directions and going back to their roots of just playing four guys, four instruments.
Right.
It made it to get away from using large orchestras. Maybe they did it because it was cheaper. they spent all their money on the Maharishi, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
And but it was cheaper and a way to get back to, okay, let's just take a step back, look at ourselves, and try to keep going.
Yeah.
Because
But is the song "Get Back" a tribute song to Brian Epstein?
I don't know.
When
honestly,
you think about the words "get back where you coming from, get back," and JoJo, it might have been like a weird thing in back of the head, and they did a song, and it might have been I still think that was a tribute to that guy.
Didn't they mention in the documentary at one point that it was kind of a protest song?
I think that's what it was. Something about a protest.
They always say protest song, but they always wrote lyrics that meant something else, even though they say it meant this.
Yeah.
But when you read through the song and you hear it, it always had another meaning.
Yeah.
Lucy in the Sky of Diamond, this and that. They always put something like that. But then when you really look at it and you look at the history, they talk about something that happened to them. And they just write it, or something that happened to Paul. They were very wise. They were like ahead of the time. They knew things before it even happened. Like they were.
There was in those days there was everybody else, and then the Beatles, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
The Beatles changed the culture in a way that nobody has ever done, where people would just follow them. The culture would shift in the way that they went. And, you had your Stones and you had your, other bands that were big and stuff, but the Beatles changed the world. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's true.
They did change the world.
Yeah. Decca Records, there was a story for a long time that Decca Records sat and listened like once a week, every week for like a year, listened to Please Me. Once a week, and sat there and tried to figure out what did we miss? Why didn't we see this was going to be a big thing? And then all of a sudden the Rolling Stones, what? Long hair guys, come on in,
Yeah.
And, Rolling Stones were put under a lot of pressure, and the Who actually.
The Who, right now, well, the Who were a little bit different because they had that mod following.
Yeah.
Okay, and they started out as the High Numbers. They were like this mod band, and then they changed their name to the Who. I always felt the Who wasn't really in that. They were kind of like their own separate little entity.
They are, basically. Yeah.
And I'm a big Who fan, especially the early stuff. Okay, and My Generation is one of the greatest albums ever. Okay,
and Tommy and Pete Townsend.
Well, when it gets into the later stuff like Tommy and Quadrophenia, I do like a lot of that. Okay,
that stuff is great.
We did a great show on Quadrophenia. But for me, it's kind of like I really love My Generation, and I really love A Quick One.
Yeah, Quick One was the way. Excellent track.
And they were different, But the Stones, their first single was "I Want to Be Your Man." Right, one of their first singles, and that was written by the Beatles. Okay, and they were given that song to do, but the smart thing that their management did is they kind of made them the anti-Beatles.
Tried to, at least.
Yeah.
They tried to. They were promoted as, listen, if you think the Beatles are cute long hair guys, look at these animals right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but they made them unfortunately compete with the Beatles a lot, because all of a sudden, the Beatles are just straight rock and roll, playing with two guitars, a bass, and a drum set. Okay, the Rolling Stones are doing that, but then all of a sudden the Beatles come out with a song like Norwegian Wood, and then they turn to the Rolling Stones and say, okay, one of you has to learn how to play sitar and write a song with a sitar. And you got an amazing track like.
Give Brian Jones credit is he knew how to play that shit. He was already into like the exotic instruments and all that.
Yeah.
But you're right, when they were starting to write songs like that, the Beatles, it changed what everybody else did too. Look at Satanic Majesty's Request is kind of like their Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great album.
Yeah, and before for a long time that album was not appreciated.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it gets a little more critical acclaim, but even the Stones kind of disowned it right away.
Yeah.
In fact, I was at the first tour where they ever did 2,000 Light Years from Home.
Oh, really?
Live. Yeah, it was the Steel Wheels tour in '88. Okay.
Oh, I remember that tour. They didn't
They did the 5 nights at Shea Stadium. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at one of those. Okay, and they said this is the first time we've ever done this live on this, during this tour, and I heard the first couple of notes of it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't. And they said they never could do it because the technology wasn't there to do it.
Yeah.
And this is 30 years ago now. But they hadn't played any of that stuff in 25 years, at that point, 20 years.
The Rolling Stones, I guess I heard varying different stories when it came to the Rolling Stones versus the Beatles, because the Beatles were doing a lot of the psychedelia stuff with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Magical Mystery Tour. But then all of a sudden, when the White Album came out and they heard the first riff for Back in the USSR, all of a sudden the Rolling Stones were like, thank God we're back to regular rock and roll.
I've never heard that story, but I could believe it. Okay. I could believe it because, they did Satanic Majesty's Request, and I don't think they really enjoyed doing it. Though it's, it just shows how talented they are as a band because they can come out with a clunker and it's still good.
Yeah.
But I think this turned into a rock show, huh? What the fuck?
I do enjoy the joke. There was an episode of the Drew Carey show and Drew Carey comes in all excited. I got free tickets to go see the Stones. Yeah. And somebody says, are you a Stones fan? And he goes, of course, I've been a fan all my life. And she goes, name 3 songs off their new album. And he just sits there, but I got tickets to the Stones.
I just want to say quick, I had an interesting conversation. Just tell me if you agree with me. Do you think that the Stones are capable of pulling one more fantastic, amazing, great album out?
The condition that I've seen Keith Richards in nowadays, I've joined the bandwagon where I sit back and say, is he still alive?
I mean, he's Keith Richards, though. He can't die.
No,
there's nothing. It can't happen. It can't happen. I'm going to say that, and the conversation I had with this person, I believe it was on Facebook. I liked the last Keith solo album.
Mm.
Okay, I don't know if you heard it. I thought it was very good. Very simple, a lot of acoustic and things. He's got like a reggae song, a couple of things, but I liked it. And then they came out with that blues covers album, Lonesome and Blue. Blue and Lonesome, or Lonesome, I forget the title. Blue and Lonesome, I think. And I said to myself, this is all covers, but this is something that if they do an album like this could be another album from the 70s or almost as good, Now, Charlie Watts was alive at that point. Now, Charlie's gone. Right. So I don't know, okay? But I hear that they're working on an album now. I got a little clip the other day. Somebody on Facebook sent me something saying that they're working on the album. They're being real secretive about it. They got security guards all over the studio, making sure nobody can go in and listen or anything like that. There's like somebody, a couple guys standing outside watching, making sure. And it's supposed to be a Back to the Roots album.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. They need to do that for Charlie.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. If they could come out with not worrying about selling records, because I always feel that it's Jagger that is the one that's like, oh, we gotta sound current or something like that. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You're the Stones. Just do another Exile on Main Street, man. You could do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wishful thinking. I don't know.
When bands get to a certain point, like I went and saw The Who back in 2008.
Right.
I think.
Wow.
And this was right after John Entwistle died.
Yeah.
And I sat there contemplating before I bought the tickets. There's only 2 original members left. Are they still The Who? But I went to the show and they still killed it. I mean, what
they got? They got Zach Starkey on drums.
Right? Zach Starkey on drums, Pino Palomino on drums, bass.
On bass, yeah.
And they still killed it. I mean, it was amazing.
His Daltrey's voice to me is not quite what it was. And the very first concert I ever saw was The Who.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really? Wow.
At Shea Stadium with the Clash opening up.
Oh, wow.
And I was like 13, 14 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
And blown away. And I was really there to see the Clash.
Yeah.
Okay. But The Who I liked, but I would appreciate a lot more a few years later, blew me away too. And at that point, Moon was gone. I didn't see them with Moon. But I mean, it's hard when bands lose members and you want to keep going. And there's always fans that are going to say, oh, it's not the original lineup, or oh, it's too many people are new members. But sometimes you can make it work, at least for a short time. Like the New York Dolls, okay? Yeah. When they came back in like 2003, okay? Obviously, Johnny Thunders was dead. Jerry Nolan was dead. How are you going to do it? Well, you got David Johansen, you got Sylvain, and you got Arthur Kane. So you got 3 out of the 5.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. And I got to see them, but unfortunately, after the first show that they did in England, Arthur died.
Yeah.
Okay. And Arthur Kane passed away. He had leukemia. He didn't know it. Yeah. He found he had a leukemia and died 4 days later. Okay. And they played Randall's Island, and it was part of a big festival that Little Steven was putting on. And they had, I think they had somebody from the Libertines on bass or something like that. But I looked at it and I went like, that's not really the Dolls anymore. Now you just got 2 guys.
Yeah.
Now it's over.
Yeah.
Well, here's a story you guys might get a kick out of, just because I felt like being an asshole that day.
That's me every day.
Kiss fans. Once they become a Kiss fan, Kiss Army, Kiss.
Yeah.
I was in the Kiss Army.
Yeah. I decided one day that I was going to spread a rumor that everybody was getting excited that the original members got back together. They got Ace Frehley and Peter Criss back. Yeah. And then I decided to start a rumor after that tour started that none of the original members are back. That's why they put the makeup back on. And boy, I made some Kiss fans so angry.
Oh shit! How would you know?
Yeah, how would you know? I mean,
probably pull that off.
That's pretty good. I got to tell you, one of the best shows I ever seen in Madison Square Garden was Page and Plan, and they put on a 3.5-hour phenomenal show, and they just play and rock and roll.
That was like what, like 94, something like that, 93.
It was a surprise. So the girl that I was dating got me a surprise ticket to see Page, and it was one of the greatest shows I ever seen in Madison Square Garden. To the point that a few days later, the New York Times said it was one of the best shows they did.
Wow.
You guys are in New York, in your area, you're more of an A market. That's pretty much the big stars, they are going to play the Garden. They're going to play Giant Stadium, whatever. Where I lived in Oregon, we only had the Rose Garden, or it's called something else now. But, and it was just one night. That was it. And if you weren't at Ticketmaster, 3 days before they start selling tickets, you didn't get in.
You didn't get shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it was tough for me back in the day. And I've always wanted to see Metallica play live, but every time,
I saw him once.
What's that?
I saw him once with when Cliff Burton was still in the band.
Oh shit. Awesome.
Yeah. Master of Puppets tour.
Yeah, I saw Metallica. I've seen Metallica 6 times. And I've seen the Pixies about 6 times. But I saw Metallica with Nicole live.
Did you?
I don't know if I told you, we saw the Misfits live in Madison Square Garden.
That was one of the highlights of like my last 10 years easily. Okay. I'm a huge Misfits fan, and I got into them right when the original band had kind of broken up, like around 83.
Yeah.
And, Danzig went on, did his own thing and everything. Yeah. And, but, grew up with that band my friends, we all loved them. And Rob was able to snag 2 free tickets in the Budweiser suite at Madison Square Garden.
Jeez.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I still owe you for that, Rob. That was an amazing fucking night.
Now I have a connection with the Bowery Ballroom. We could have gone to the show where parents played with the toilet bowl because the owner of the Bowery Ballroom.
They played. The Toilet Boys played. Yeah. You got a connection with him?
Yeah, the owner came in because I met him to John Nichols, and the owner came in, and he came in to get his call because Bali died. He came and told me anytime you need anything, just give me a call. So if there's anything you ever want to see there, let me know.
Bowery Ballroom.
Guy that's one of those people that's where I can say, hey, if you need tickets to something, I know a guy. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's New York. We all know a guy. You know?
Yeah.
I got a guy.
So, guys, let's get back because the show's running low. So, Anthony, when can we get in touch with you if they want to find you? Which podcast platform you on? And the name of the show is Hey Bartender. Look it up. It's a fantastic show. But put in your plug.
Yeah, it's called Hey Bartender Podcast. It's available on Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher. You can even ask your Amazon Alexa to play episodes and it'll bring it up. I'm available on Anchor FM. If you want to get a hold of me, my email address is dude@heybartenderpodcast.com. If you want to follow me on any social medias or get a hold of me through social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, it's all at Hey Bartender Podcast. The website is also www.heybartenderpodcast.com, where if you're one of those people that saw Christina or Boogie wearing Hey Bartender Podcast t-shirts, you can buy one there.
That's fantastic. And Anthony, man, thanks for coming on the show. We're definitely gonna have you again because when we do one of those Beatles, we will
the White Album. I'll be in touch with you, Anthony.
Oh yeah, that'll be a blast. I'd be happy.
We'd love to have a guest because you know your stuff, man. You're knowledgeable. You know, you got a great voice for podcasting. You got like a powerful, strong voice. Like Mike got a great voice for podcasting. Me, I'm just like a bobblehead. So I like to talk.
Rob's got the face made for radio.
That's what my mother says.
I tell that to people all the time, and I've got a real face for radio, and some of my friends are like, "Stop that."
But let me tell you, we're definitely going to plug the show. I'm going to give you a bunch of shout out. Where I'm going to put you on the link on most of the shows we do and try to get you out there. Because you know what, in the podcast community, everybody needs friends, and you're a friend of the family, and you're welcome anytime you want to promote something or you got something big. Let us know.
And you got a place to drink. And you got a place to drink when you're in the city, okay? Awesome. International bar. We will connect you up there, man. We'll hook you up.
I appreciate it. This has been a blast, guys.
Dude, but man, the Hey Bartender show turned into a
rock show.
Yeah, I love talking about rock and roll. So
then you definitely got to come back. It was really good having you on, Anthony. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
And we got a saying, guys, remember, don't get drunk.
Get lumped up.
We see you next week. And everybody check out the podcast, Hey Bartender, available in multiple podcast platforms. And this show will be up in a few days, and we'll be on every major podcast platform, but we'll also be on YouTube. So you're right with us putting you on YouTube, right, Anthony?
Yes, yeah.
All right.
It's not a video format, but it's up there. Yeah.
Cool.
No, it's this show. We're gonna put it in YouTube. The video. Yeah. We do video. Yeah. We do a bunch of video. You know, maybe we can get a few thousand hits, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, so buddy. Guys, we love you. We'll see you next week, and enjoy the weekend. Happy holidays, people.
Take care, people.